Welcome back to our Canaries Walk. This week we are talking about the big question: should we sell Borgia Saints in January to improve this squad? We'll be asking our team and our panel that in a second. Plus, are we still trusting in the process? A couple of people are starting to waver, especially based on substitutions. And what is going on with the Championship this season? Why does it feel a little bit flat? We're asking that, of course, to our very fed up Canaries, fresh back from watching Burnley turn that around at Carrow Road. Welcome back, Killian, Matty, and Oliver. Thank you very much for watching. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let's jump straight into it. Oliver, let's start with you. Were you the better team for 45 minutes?
For the first 45, I'd say, yeah, we actually were. Look, take a couple of our chances there. I think we could be 2-3-0 up. It could be a completely different game, but second half, they came out the better side. Yeah, won it.
Yeah, Matty, some people are querying the refereeing. Norwich can't complain about refereeing, can you, given the luck you've had? But are you going to in here?
I think, don't get me wrong, there's some questionable decisions. But I think if we're pinning the blame on a referee or a refereeing decision or two, I think we're not looking at the bigger picture of as Oliver mentioned there. We were all right first half. First 45 was decent. Second half, we didn't do anything. We didn't lay a glove on them until it was too late. So I don't think you can blame the ref. Don't get me wrong, there was poor decisions, but that's a fickle approach in my opinion.
Okay. We'll come back to the game in a second, Killian, but we have got a few fans saying, well, actually, we best cash in on Saints. This one here. Darren says, I can't believe Norwich fans on here suggesting we should do Borgia in January. That is absolutely mental. But is it, Killian?
I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, Athanasios also said he'd make some money available in January, so we may not need to sell him. To me, he didn't look terribly interested yesterday. Now, having said that, I mean, it was 3 games on the bounce. I mean, maybe it was just that step too far. Carving a lot of energy. Now he's great pace when he goes for it, but he seemed sort of out on the peripheries for a lot of the game. And apart from that cracking shot he had, which was a great save, didn't produce much. So I think a number of fans I've talked to, probably based on the last couple of performances, wouldn't feel they're missing him too much. But I think he's shown what he can do, and I'd certainly rather not blame him if we could avoid it.
Okay, Oliver, would you cash in for 15 million?
For 15, no, I definitely wouldn't. I think he could still go another level, if I'm being completely honest. And like we touched upon, he can show us what he can do. He's a special player. He likes big moments, but he just needs the players around him to be putting in a solid performance.
Okay. What about you, Matty?
Yeah, no man's in Ireland. I don't think he's. What we've done is we've pinned so much, especially with Sargent being injured. We've pinned so much on him, and we've relied on him so much that if he has 1 or 2 quieter games, all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's going on? But actually, there's 10 players around him that probably 8 or 9 of them aren't playing to the level that is required, or at least as a group, we aren't playing to the level that's required. So no, don't cash in. Anything less than 25 million, I think, would be daft to take, which I know sounds maybe absurd, but listen, he's right up there in terms of Championship top scorers, and he's been fantastic this season and had a decent season last season. So we don't need to sell, as Killian says. I don't think there's a need to sell. So why do it unless someone comes in with stupid money? Then keep hold of him.
Okay. Is he Premier League quality, Matty, for you?
Yes. At the moment, he's probably a bottom 10 Premier League. Like when we saw Buendia went to Aston Villa, obviously look where they've gone to, not because of him, absolutely not. But in terms of like a similar style of player and the flair and the sort of qualities that he brings, I don't see a huge amount of difference in terms of potential. Who knows what Buendia might have gone on to do without that awful injury? But like what we've seen Saints do at the start of the season, at least, does remind me of Buendia. So at the moment, I'm not saying he's at Buendia's level, but I definitely think he's got to move to a Palace or that sort of size club.
All right, then let us know in the comments what you think and how much you'd be willing to sell him for. Let's jump back to the week that's been killing. It's not been a great week for Norwich. Portsmouth away, you were there. What did you make of that performance?
That question to me, was it?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it was a disappointing game. Neither team really showed up. I mean, it was a nice experience to be there, but I think the Kenny McLean news that came out just beforehand, I think, put a dampener on it from the squad point of view. I actually bumped into Kenny before the match, and he was quite unhappy, to put it mildly. So I think that probably did have an effect, but we didn't really show up as a team. It's a game we should have got something more out of. Obviously, not conceding was a help, given what had happened with QPR the previous match. So there was nothing. I can't even think of a great moment from that game, to be honest.
Apparently, the pies were nice at Portsmouth. That's what one tweeted. Oliver, the FA did announce the ban hours before the game. Has Hoff Thorup got a point when he says that's really not on because of the preparation for the game?
It's ludicrous, to be honest, because you could go around looking at every game and saying, well, that deserves a 4-match ban. It seems like they're sort of picking on us a bit at the minute. Kind of feels that way. And, he's just been banned for 4 games. He was literally back for, 1-2 games, and then he's back out again. So it's harsh and unfair. And right before a match as well, it just, not right.
Without your Norwich glasses on, Matty, when you look at that incident again with the QPR player, can you understand why he's got the ban?
Not.
He knows the players behind him, doesn't he?
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. He's kind of shielding. I know he's not in possession of the ball, but he's kind of shielding the man off so that he doesn't get a run at it. For me, I don't think there's intent to hurt the player. Like if you see someone go in with like a real sort of straight elbow, like he doesn't do that. It's more of like an arm wrap, like so. And I think that when you watch it back as well, I don't think there's any appeals even from any of the QPR players. Now they might have missed it, but none of the officials picked it up. None of their players appealed it. I don't really remember a great deal being made of it in the stadium. So it's been picked up. On a replay, an assessor might have been there, or someone's watched it back, or whatever. And he's obviously been given the extra harsh punishment because he's been done before. So they've added another one on. So it was 3+1 previously, and now it's 4 this time, 3+1 for the previous occurrence of it. So I think it's harsh, and I would say that about if it was any player, even if it was an Ipswich player, I think I'd look at that and go, it's a bit harsh. That really a 4-game ban.
Okay. All right, then let's look at some more tweets from the game then. Jack says, we knew this season would be difficult, just like under Farker. If we were 3 years into JHT's tenure, I would be worried. A couple of transfer windows, a season for JHT to implement his ideas, and we'll be right up there. I'm confident he's the man to take us forward. So, Killian, are you still trusting in the project?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm very impressed with him as a manager. I think he's doing the right things. I think he's definitely trying to motivate the team. I'm questioning a little bit transitional season. I'm not sure what we're transitioning to. Like we've gone up and down. Like we talk about Farkas' first season. Like we had this plan that Weber had, got us up and down a few times, and we're transitioning again. I would hope it's to something better than going up and down again a few times. Question, are we hiding behind that terminology a little bit? Fine if we don't go up this year, but like, what is the goal here? Is it to be Brentford, or is it going to be like every other team that seems to be popping up and down? That to me wouldn't be transitioning to anything particularly positive.
Cheers, Killian. Oliver, some people were saying about the quality of the benches on for the Burnley game. Just highlights where the two sides are at the moment. This was a comment from Robbo. Nothing says mediocrity more than bringing on the likes of Stacey, Hernandez and Barnes. We have so many ordinary players, and when they're taking off players like Koleosho and so on, does it just highlight the gulf where Burnley and Norwich are at the moment?
I'd say so. Yes. But obviously they just come down. They've got about 10 times better squad than us, but I still think our bench is. I still think it's pretty decent. Forson. I still trust in Forson. I mean, Stacey is a solid Championship player. Hernandez, brings a bit of pace. I'd say Barnes is the only one on there that maybe is. You could say he's a little bit like, well, it's not very exciting to bring him on. But yeah, you can definitely see the different class in the bench, but I don't think our bench is particularly dreadful. No, it's.
All right, then we'll leave the Burnley game alone there. We are talking finally about football on the Championship in particular. Matt, are you not hitting the heights of excitement as it previously has? So, our first question of two to you is: do you understand where people are coming from saying that? And if so, why? Why is this season feeling a little bit flat?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I get the impression that fans in general in the Championship prefer not having VAR. But I also get the impression that there's been so many poor decisions from officials, not just this season, but over the last few seasons, that fans are getting a bit miffed, a bit tired of the level of officiating. And I think that's maybe an element that's adding to people's frustrations and maybe sort of taking the enthusiasm out of it. You travel around, you pay your money, you turn up, you have a laugh and sing your songs and stuff. But then when you get a few crap decisions to go against you or something that you see as being glaringly obvious, it does it's a bit of a sucker punch at times, I guess. So I think that would be one of the biggest things I would maybe lean on in general. I don't have any less enthusiasm about travelling around the country and watching Norwich, and it doesn't feel massively flat to me. I wouldn't say, but I do sort of think that if you were to ask, a random person on the street, what's your view of Championship officiating, they'd probably say it's a bit naff. So that would be the thing I would lean on, I guess.
Okay. Killian, this year the TV deal has meant that we've seen 3 live games now at 12:30 on a Saturday. I know this won't affect you, but do you know of fans that would have gone to the game perhaps, or might have bought an away ticket but haven't done because you can watch 20 games of Norwich across the season? That's nearly half the season live on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, our attendances, I think, have been pretty good, generally speaking. For Championship matches. I mean, I was looking actually over the weekend at some of the highlights of some of the games and the amount of empty stadiums. Generally speaking, where certainly Carrow Road has had not full capacity, but it's been pretty solid for all games. And we've seen some numbers of away fans turning up. I think there's been less than some other seasons, certainly in Carrow Road. I think we've brought some decent following with us to other places, and I keep hearing about some of the mammoth journeys some big groups of fans have made across the country. So I don't think it has affected it too much, but I think there's some of the midweek games, midweek schedules, I think have been really tough for fans. Having Plymouth come to Norwich on a midweek night is tough. We've had some tough ones, like going to Preston midweek is tough as well. So I think, with Sky Plus and things like that, I think that certainly maybe stopped some people travelling.
Yeah. It highlights it. You've been to QPR and Pompey in the space of 5 days, haven't you? As Norwich fans, and they're shorter journeys, but they're not easy to do. Oliver, what is it for you? Is there too much football on at the moment? Are we for some reason falling out of love of the game? Should we decrease the league to 20 teams, something like that?
It's tough. Because I personally quite like the fact that they're actually showing more games. Because I feel like Championship maybe isn't as exposed, say, as the Premier League. More people can now watch it. But yeah, I've been to a couple of away games, and I think attendance has been pretty good. But it's hard because I don't think football. I don't think we're falling out of love with football. There's always going to be love for football, but maybe things have just started to become a bit more bland this season. It's kind of tough to tell.
There's an argument for that, isn't it? Because last weekend it would have been Everton versus Liverpool on one channel, and then you've got Sheffield Wednesday versus Preston on another. And the argument is, unless you're a Preston fan, who else is going to be watching that? And there's no disrespect to those clubs, is it? So, whilst the TV money's good, just this 12:30 kickoff, is it not creating empty stadiums and poor atmospheres as a result, Matty?
Well, that's a very good point as well. If you think about yesterday, I mean, I love go watch Norwich on a Saturday, and I love a Sunday afternoon, especially at the 4:30, because it's often a good game. I go to the pub, have a few pints of Guinness, and watch the 4:30 game, and because I was in Norwich all day yesterday, I completely forgot that it was the Manchester derby, and I would have watched the Manchester derby like any other game I would have watched in that Sunday slot, and I think there's maybe who wants to watch Norwich Burnley on a Sunday at 3:00? Like why is that on a Sunday at 3:00? And it's because of the TV deal, it's because of money. I think it's wrong in that respect. Don't get me wrong. If it had been a 12:30 or if it had been a 5:30 or whatever on Saturday, you see the argument for it. Sunday at 3:00 is a bit crap. And I also think the other thing maybe is to why people maybe feel it's gone a bit bland or the same is, I guess, style of football. Everyone tries to play the same way now, and we've caught ourselves out a few times with it. We did yesterday, trying to play out from the back, which is obviously Hoff Thorup's philosophy. But everyone tries to play the same. Pretty much everyone tries to play the same way now, which maybe as football lost a little bit of its charm and its personality, because Pep is a fantastic manager he is. He's had this monumental impact on everyone wanting to play this perfect style of football. A la Johan Cruyff of many yesteryear. So. Yeah, I think that's maybe another factor, but TV thing for me is frustrating, and it has made it a little bit more difficult for fans to maybe tune in and have the same level of enthusiasm about games that they might have been a neutral and can't watch or don't get the opportunity to watch.
Okay, I daren't suggest this last one to you, Killian, so please don't shout at me, but some people have said that last year's championship was so exciting because of your neighbours, and that this year we don't have an Ipswich doing an Ipswich. What we have is the predictability of the three teams, or the teams that came down with big parachute payments and big budgets at the top of the league, and that's what's making it so predictable and therefore a bit dull for everyone. Can you get on board with that view?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a funny season, I think, results-wise. I think when you had Sunderland up top there and Millwall doing well, I suppose that did bring a bit of excitement. And saying Luton right down near the end, it is certainly stabilising and sharing itself. Obviously, Leeds are still in the running, and they haven't come straight down. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's almost predictable as to how it's going to end up and land, and it's almost the same in the Premier League, so both leagues have got to a point where teams that go up seem to hover around the bottom, the teams that come down hover around the top.
Yeah. All right, well, we need Norwich in there to shake it up. Also, Oliver, someone has mentioned that actually there's only been one game on TV which has actually been really good to watch, which is actually you guys against Borough about a month ago. There hasn't really been any games you could go, I enjoyed watching that. Do you agree with that point?
Yeah, I was actually there for Borough, and it was, 3-1 down at half time was a bit depressing, but good comeback. But I'd say we've definitely been one of the more sort of interesting teams in the league. We seem to have quite a lot of goals in our games, which is why I think that lots of people are saying this season has been bland, but I actually think for us it's been a bit of a roller coaster actually. So yeah, it's interesting.
All right, well, as long as you Canaries are enjoying it, we're all right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Right, thank you very much for joining us then this week. One more of these to do before the Christmas break. We'll catch you next week to review it all again. Thanks for joining us. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you next week.